lecturer Political Science Past Paper 100% Original MCQS. All answers are 100% verified. You can trust. Subscribe for all other subjects and other posts past papers. 1. Who proposed patriarchal theory? A. Aristotle. B. Sir Henry Mene. C. Louis XIV. D. Th. Green. Answer B. Sir Henry Mene. 2. Sir Thomas Hobbes was exponent of A. Universal sovereignty. B. Titular sovereignty. C. Absolute sovereignty. D. Limited sovereignty. Answer C. Absolute sovereignty. 3. World War I started in A. 1916. B. 1914. C. 1915. D. 1912. Answer B. 1914. 4. Tashkent Declaration was signed in A. 1965. B. 1968. C. 1966. D. 1967. Answer C. 1966. 5. Who was the second Prime Minister of Pakistan? A. Muhammad Ali Bogra. B. Khwaja Nazimuddin. C. Chaudhry Muhammad Ali. D. II Chandigarh. Answer B. Khwaja Nazimuddin. 6. When was one unit established in Pakistan? A. 1954. B. 1956. C. 1955. D. 1957. Answer C. 1955. Length of Pak-Afghan border is A. 2440 km. B. 2640 km. C. 1280 km. D. 4246 km. Answer B. 2640 km. 8. Pakistan joined non-aligned movement in A. 1979. B. 1980. C. 1978. D. 1977. Answer A. 1979. 9. Indian Independence Act was passed on A. the 14th of August 1947. B. the 24th of October 1948. C. the 18th of July 1947. D. the 3rd of June 1948. Answer C. the 18th of July 1947. 10. What was the total number of princely states in the subcontinent during British rule? A. 435. B. 635. C. 630. D. 565. Answer D. 565. 11. Objectives resolution was passed on A. the 23rd of March 1948. B. the 12th of March 1949. C. the 15th of March 1949. D. the 23rd of March 1949. Answer B. the 12th of March 1949. 12. Life of presidential ordinance is A. 4-month. B. 2-month. C. 3-month. D. 6-month. Answer A. 4-month. 13. Retirement age of the Supreme Court judges. A. 60 years. B. 65 years. C. 63 years. D. 62 years. Answer B. 65 years. 14. Indus Basin Treaty was signed in A. 1961. B. 1962. C. 1960. D. 1963 answer C. 1960. 15. When was Baluchistan given the provincial status? A. 1967 B. 1970 C. 1965 D. 1971 answer B. 1970. 16. Pakistan shares her eastern border with which country? A. China B. India C. Iran D. Afghanistan answer B. India. 17. Popularity of Ibn Khaldun relates to which object? A. Political science B. Sociology C. Economics D. Philosophy answer B. Sociology. 18. Politics was written by A. Thomas Hobbes B. Plato C. Aristotle D. Karl Marx answer C. Aristotle. 19. How many judges are members of International Court of Justice? A. 9 B. 15 C. 12 D. 20 answer B. 15. 20. How many members SAARC has? A. 7 B. 8 C. 11 D. 12 answer B. 8. 21. The first summit of SAARC was held in A. Islamabad B. Delhi C. Dhaka D. Colombo answer C. Dhaka. 22. The members of NAFTA are A. US, Mexico, Brazil B. Mexico, Canada, USC Canada, Mexico, Britain D. Mexico, US, Bolivia answer B. Mexico, Canada, US. 23. Under which amendment in 1990, the US suspended all economic aid and military assistance to Pakistan? A. Brown B. Pressler C. Glenn D. Symington answer B. Pressler. 24. In which year Cripps mission came India? A. 1927 B. 1942 C. 1928 D. 1946 answer B. 1942. 25. John Locke wrote the book A. Leviathan B. The Social Contract C. Two Treaties of Government D. Prince answer C. Two Treaties of Government. 26. Montesquieu wrote the book A. Candied B. Discourse on Equality C. Persian Letters D. Politics answer C. Persian Letters. 27. Grammar of Politics was written by A. Laswell B. Lasky C. Gilchrist D. Garner answer B. Lasky. 28. The Social Contract was written by A. Locke B. Hobbes C. Rousseau D. Marx answer C. Rousseau. 29. Glasnost means A. Reconstruction B. Workers C. Greater accountability and openness D. Equality of people and place answer C. Greater accountability and openness. 30. In which year World War II ended? A. 1949 B. 1945 C. 1947 D. 1948 answer B. 1945. 31. In which year General Assembly of the United Nations adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? A. 1949 B. 1947 C. 1948 D. 1946 Answer C. 1948. 32. Who is known as the Iron Lady? A. Benazir Bhutto B. Margaret Thatcher C. Condoleezza Rice D. Hillary Clinton Answer B. Margaret Thatcher. 33. German attack on Poland was the immediate cause of A. World War I B. 30 Years War C. World War II D. Eastern European crisis Answer C. World War II. 34. The strategic rivalry between the British Empire and the Russian Empire for supremacy in Central Asia is termed A. Grand Design B. The Great Game C. Clash of Giants D. None of these Answer B. The Great Game. 35. The Soviet Union was dissolved in A. 1990 B. 1992 C. 1991 D. 1993 Answer C. 1991. 36. Which is not an official language of United Nations? A. Arabic B. French C. German D. Chinese Answer C. German. 37. In UN, which country does not have veto power? A. France B. Britain C. Germany D. China Answer B. Germany. 38. In which year Urdu-Hindi controversy was started? A. 1862 B. 1867 C. 1864 D. 1868 Answer B. 1867. 39. In which year Minto-Morley reforms were introduced in India? A. 1907 B. 1911 C. 1909 D. 1919 Answer C. 1909. 40. Stanley Wolpert is the author of A. India Wins Freedom B. Jinnah Creator of Pakistan C. Jinnah of Pakistan D. Emergence of Pakistan Answer C. Jinnah of Pakistan. 41. Al-Farabi was the author of A. Siyasatnama B. Al-Madanat Ai Fadila C. Ai Ahkam al-Sultaniya D. Tahaffut al-Falasifa Answer B. Al-Madanat Ai Fadila. 42. Allama Iqbal did his MA in philosophy from Government College Lahore in the year A. 1890 B. 1899 C. 1895 D. 1889 Answer B. 1899. 43. Himye Sadat was written by A. Allama Iqbal B. Abu Nasr Farabi C. Imam Ghazali D. Nizamul Mulk Tuzi Answer C. Imam Ghazali. 44. The theory of group mind was enunciated by A. Al-Ghazali B. Ibn Khaldun C. Al-Farabi D. Al-Mawardi Answer B. Ibn Khaldun. 45. The Greek philosopher Plato died in A. 325 BCB, 347 BC C, 383 BC D, 358 BC. Answer B, 347 BC. 46. In which year Treaty of Westphalia, ending the 30 Years' War, was signed? A. 1684 B, 1648 C, 1688 D, 1848. Answer B, 1648. 47. The constitutional history of France begins with the French Revolution of A. 1785 B, 1779 C, 1789 D, 1798. Answer C, 1789. 48. The lengthiest written constitution of the world is A. China B, France C, India D, Switzerland. Answer C, India. 49. In Pakistan, Islam was declared as state religion under the Constitution of A. 1956 B, 1973 C, 1962 D, 1985. Answer B, 1973. 50. Constitution of Pakistan ek notch hai do had how many articles? A. 245 B, 250 C, 280 D, 295. Answer B, 250. 51. Pakistan joined United Nations on A. the 28th of August 1947 B, the 25th of November 1947 C, the 30th of September 1947 D, the 27th of October 1947. Answer C, the 30th of September 1947. 52. Total members of Senate of Pakistan are A. 87 B, 110 C, 104 D, 100. Answer C, 104. 53. Who wrote The Myth of Independence? A. I.H.O. Reshi B, Jawaharlal Nehru C, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto D, K.K. Aziz. Answer C, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. 54. Quaid Azam joined Muslim League in A. 1910 B, 1913 C, 1915 D, 1923. Answer B, 1913. 55. The first movement launched against British in India was A. Quit India Movement B, Khilaf Movement C, Swadeshi Movement D, Non-Cooperation Movement. Answer C, Swadeshi Movement. 56. The smallest administrative unit in British local self-government is B. County A, Parish C, District D, Borough. Answer A, Parish. 57. The number of amendments made in the American Constitution is A. 25 B, 26 C, 27 D, 28. Answer C, 27. 58. Which American state is called the mother of presidents? A. Ohio B, Virginia C, Florida D, New York. Answer B, Virginia. 59. Minimum age of candidate to contest the elections of American Senate is A. 25 B, 30 C, 35 D, 40. Answer B, 30. 60. The most important achievement of Abraham Lincoln was A. Strengthening of democracy. B. Abolition of slavery. C. Supremacy of Constitution. D. Women's rights. Answer B. Abolition of slavery. 61. The Electoral College in the United States comprises A. 520 electors. B. 542 electors. C. 538 electors. D. 565 electors. Answer C. 538 electors. 62. System of administrative law is provided in the Constitution of A. USA. B. France. C. UK. D. India. Answer B. France. 63. State of France is A. Federation. B. Unitary. C. Confederation. D. None one of these. Answer B. Unitary. 64. An appeal to the prejudice of the masses, usually by means of lies and half-truths, is termed as A. Glad handling. B. Demagogy. C. Propaganda. D. None of these. Answer C. Propaganda. 65. When was the Magna Carta signed by King John of England? A. 1213. B. 1290. C. 1215. D. 1220. Answer C. 1215. 66. According to Aristotle, tyranny is the perverted form of A. Democracy. B. Monarchy. C. Aristocracy. D. Oligarchy. Answer B. Monarchy. 67. The quorum of British House of Lords are A2, B3, C6, B11. Answer B3. 68. In Britain, the office of the Prime Minister came into existence in the time of A. Normans. B. Hanoverians. C. Stuarts. D. None of these. Answer B. Hanoverians. 69. Who was the author of Communist Manifesto? A. Lenin. B. Stalin. C. Karl Marx. D. Mao Zedong. Answer C. Karl Marx. 70. Who formulated the theory of separation of powers? A. J.S. Mill. B. Kant. C. Montesquieu. D. John Locke. Answer C. Montesquieu. 71. A voluntary union of sovereign independent states is called A. Unitary states. B. Confederation. C. Federation. D. None of these. Answer B. Confederation. 72. According to Locke, the natural rights of men are right to A. Life, property, religion. B. Life, liberty, property. C. Liberty, equality, security. D. None of these. Answer B. Life, liberty, property. 73. Who ensures party members do as per party lines in assembly? A. Kingpin. B. Whip. C. Parliamentary leader. D. Junter. Answer B. Whip. 74. Plato believed that an ideal state should have a population of A. 50,040. B. 5,400. C. 5,040. D. 50,400. Answer C. 5,040. 75. The consensus among scholars on points of Islamic law is called Iqiyas B. Eljamai C. Elestiila D. Elestehsan. Answer B. Eljamai. 76. Who is known as social contractualist? A. Lenin B. Aristotle C. Hobbes D. Machiavelli. Answer C. Hobbes. 77. Who said, law is the command of sovereign? A. Jean Bodin B. John Austin C. Rousseau D. Lasky. Answer B. John Austin. 78. The concept of popular sovereignty was expounded by A. Jean Bodin B. Thomas Hobbes C. Jean J. Rousseau D. James Mill. Answer B. Thomas Hobbes. 79. The term polity is originally applied to A. Roman city-states B. Feudal states C. Greek city-state D. Oriental Empire. Answer C. Greek city-state. 80. Principle of collective responsibility is a feature of A. Unitary system B. Federal system C. Parliamentary system D. Presidential system. Answer C. Parliamentary system.
'Cause